Eternal Father, Father, bless our land. I pray you guide us with your mighty hand. Pray you keep us and protect us, lead us into brighter days.
Remember this year one thing. After rain, sun of fish shine. We build for pressure, born for climb. We bend but we not broke every single time. The storm come rough, me not deny. Roof fly away, dream fly high. Whole heap of people lose them base, but faith still strong in our face. Jamaica tough, heart heavy, yes, but we spirit not dead, it just take rest. From nothing we build back step by step. We hands still strong, we soul still blessed. So when you look on the rubble, remember, we not done, we just rebuild double. Jamaica can't done, never that. We rise up.
Eternal Father, Father, bless our land. I pray you guide us with your mighty hand. Pray you keep us and protect us, lead us into brighter days.
Oh God, me island cry, but we still rise, still rise. Jamaica strong. Melissa came, no friend found. She tear down the place, mash up we wall. But still we there, still we stand tall. Cause love never dead, it conquer all. Mama pray, the picnic them hold tight. Darkness come, but we find the light. From the countryside to Kingston, we sing it loud. Jamaica strong, Jamaica strong. We rise again from the flood, from the pain. One love, one blood, one name. We rebuild again, we no shame. Jamaica strong, my people brave. Every tear become a wave. We pray, we hit, we move.
Oh, hello. Hi, Dr. Adams. How are you?
Night. I'm doing
Good
okay. How
night.
are you?
I am well, thank you. Well, we're about to get started, and I want to use this time to welcome everyone. I want to say welcome back to this space of healing, reflection, and togetherness. As you know, I am your host, Zanu Gordon, and tonight I am grateful that you choose to return to this space with us. So today I'm joined by Dr. Adams, who is a school psychologist, and later we should be joined by Dr. Chambers, who is a professor and psychotherapist. We should also be joined by Mr. Sean Martin, who is a licensed social worker, as well as Mrs. McCoy, who is a guidance counselor and mental health practitioner. So I want to kind of recap what we've done so far, some of what we've gone over in the past 2 weeks before we move further. And so in week one, what we did, we held space for the hurricane's impact, and we breathed together, we prayed together, and Dr. Chambers guided us through a beautiful gratitude scale, which pretty much reminded us that even in grief, fear, and uncertainty, there is still something to hold on to. And from that conversation, it helped us to cultivate a mindset of gratitude, even in the midst of recovery, it was a firm and it was a necessary, it was really affirming and necessary start. And then in week 2, Mrs. McCoy helped us to develop a Jamaican family survival kit, one which is, accessible, and also one that is, reasonable, affordable for persons to be able to have in their household. And then Dr. Chambers explored how to support children after a hurricane, which was understanding, fears and nurturing emotional recovery. Dr. Adams then walked us through trauma informed care and how to support families and communities centering around safety, trust, and resilience. And then Mr. Martin helped us to build a simple, realistic family hurricane plan. So we ended by connecting with local resources as well. We talked about places people can get the necessary support, if they need it. And so the sessions that we've had so far, they've been very impactful. So now that we've laid the foundation, it's now time for us to start building further. And so today, we're going to focus on strengthening personal stability through practical coping skills. And so, as we continue to process the aftermath of Hurricane Melissa, we are holding two truths at once. And the first is that there's beauty within the ugliness. And the second is that there's strength emerging from the brokenness. So thank you again for returning, for showing up with courage, and for choosing to be a part of this circle. Together, we will continue to restore hope, one conversation, one breath, and one act of community care at a time. So before we dive into it, if you can use your chat to share how you are feeling today. Talk about how are you? We want to check in with everyone. If you can use the chat and just share with us, how are you? How are you feeling today? That would be great, a great start for us. And then in the meantime, while you're typing how you're doing, um, Dr. Adams, something that you and I can think about too is, what beauty have you seen in the ugliness of this disaster? And or how have you seen strength emerging from the brokenness? So I want us to start with that reflection. What beauty have you seen in the ugliness of the disaster? And also, how have you seen strength emerging from the brokenness? And feel free to type wherever, or if you are joining us in this platform, feel free to share, and I can add you on the screen with Dr. Adams and myself, and you can share with us. So the reflection, the activity is there. Dr. Adams, if you're ready, whenever, if you want to.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Yes.
Some of the beauty that I've seen, really the big one is watching local communities and international support, like watching people come together and support Jamaica. It touches my heart. Like I said, Jamaica is so loved. We are so loved. My God. I mean, I've seen my friends, my family, my sister, people just care packages after care packages, driving down to country, doing all of these things day and night, just non-stop helping. And even if it's not a big organized thing, just watching people check on their neighbors and that just watching the resilience of our community live, like that has really blessed me. And then again, like I said, the international support, watching countries not only donate their money, but like hearing how they say, like, when we were going through this, Jamaica was here for us. We stand with Jamaica, like hearing them pledge their commitment to us has been really, just like I said, heartwarming, very touching to me.
Awesome. And I have to agree with you too. That's the beauty I have seen, how everyone just wrap around and support how they can. To add to what you shared, I also like how, communities, people are now getting together outside and are they're playing the games that we used to play back when we were children, when technology was not as common as it is now. So you're seeing people back outside. They're playing the Chinese skip, the dandy shandy, so many games that are there. People are outside. They're enjoying the trees. They're making swings, and children are enjoying that opportunity. And that's helping to build community. So that's something that I truly admire as well. I also see that people are showing up for one another, like you mentioned. So those who can host people are hosting people. Those who have special skills, like maybe they're good at cooking or they're good with machinery, they're helping out in their communities to help people who are having challenges. And I am just taken aback. I'm impressed. I admire how people are showing up for people, and it's just amazing. And I also like that people are choosing community over isolation, and that's powerful because it means that people are now choosing healing over despair. So, and that's something that I like about us Jamaicans. We know how to come together, create spaces like this one that we've created. Other people have been creating spaces and providing opportunities where people can share and people can grow together. And I feel that is something that is just awesome, something that is incredible. So, we're going to continue to show up and we're going to continue to do as much as we can to help us grow together. When we lean on each other, we can grow stronger. So before Dr. Adams and I go into the practical coping skills, I am going to um, help us to understand what's happening inside our bodies during the prolonged stress of trauma, of stress or trauma. And Dr. Adams talked a bit about this last week, that trauma is not just the event, but trauma is also what the body is experiencing after. So, yes, it passed. The hurricane came, it passed. But that doesn't mean that people are not still experiencing stress, experiencing trauma. So, what I'm going to do now is to talk a little bit about what's going on in our bodies when trauma or stress is very much active. And the brain is where I want to start from. So, when we experience danger, danger can be whether it is the hurricane or whether it is an attack, whichever. The body pretty much has in the brain the amygdala. And the purpose or the function of the amygdala, it's like the smoke detector or smoke alarm in the brain that goes off. So whenever the body senses that there is some form of danger, it sends the amygdala sends a signal. You are not safe. It's like bap, 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 an alarm goes off, pretty much. And what the body does is that it starts to prepare your body for safety, to protect you, to defend you. And so what happened is the amygdala starts to release hormones in the body, cortisols, adrenaline. starts to really release in the body in with the aim of protecting the body. So when this happens, we find then that the heart rate increases. We find that breathing become shallow. We find that muscles tighten, and we can become hyper aware, jumpy, or on the edge. So that's pretty much what is happening in the body when there is stress or when there is a trauma. People are kind of in a state where they are jumpy or on the edge or hyper aware. And that's the body doing what the body is trained to do and has to do to protect us. But what's happening is if the body stays in that kind of state for a long time, that's when there is an issue. That is when it's a concern. And so, to share a little bit more about that, I want to talk about one research and what the finding of that research was. And in a brain imaging study, it's a well-known you know experiment where researchers played a completely neutral sound. So a door closing gently, or footsteps, or running water, to a group of participants who previously experienced trauma. For most people, these sounds are ordinary, but for the participants with trauma historically, something incredibly happened. Their amygdala, that we talked about in the brain, that's responsible for alerting the body, it realizes, or it lit up as if danger was happening in that moment. So even though the room was quiet, even though all the participants were safe, even though nothing threatening was actually happening, their brains reacted as if a threat was real. You may be asked, why is this so? Because trauma teaches the body to be on guard, or stress too teaches the body to be on guard, even long after the danger has passed. So, this is the body saying, I remember what danger feels like, and I will not be caught off guard again. So, the body is doing things to protect itself. So this means the heart can start racing without warning, the body can tense up, and a person may feel anxious, jumpy, or angry, or even tearful. And the mind may sometimes replay memories or fear, all without a real danger being presented. So that is how trauma pretty much lives in the body, or how stress lives in the body. It is not just a memory, it becomes a physical reaction stored in the nervous system. So your body responds before your mind even has time to truly think about what's going on. So, in saying that, we're going to kind of link it a little bit now to what's going on as it relates to Hurricane Melissa. So we know that for Hurricane Melissa, people may have heard winds, the sudden gusts of a wind, or the loud banging on the roof, or rain that was falling heavily, or a voice shouting outside. For some people, unfortunately, they have seen family members being hurt. They've witnessed death, unfortunately. And these are, in the when the body um experiences some of these events, we talk about what's happening now with that is that we see people become on the edge. And this is then causing a trigger of anxiety, a trigger of fear, not because they are not because trigger fear to the body and all of that stuff. And so what this is telling us is that the body definitely can remember what happens. And so it carries it over for a while. And we're going to process now how we can help our bodies to break away from the continuous production of the cortisols, the continuous production of the body feeling as though it's in threat and it needs to be protecting itself. Because the longer the body stays in that state, the more it's producing these hormones, and the more we find that the physiology of our body is impacted. And that's what we don't want. Um, a little bit, I'm going to add something a little bit more to this that I'm seeing. And I want to talk about how secondary stress too is also causing cortisols to be released in the body. So the government has been you know, in meetings over and over, and they're now talking about plans to how to support people. And what I've seen a lot of frustration. I've seen a lot of anger and outburst. And what this is showing us is that even those who are not directly impacted by this hurricane are still experiencing this release of cortisol in the body, this tension, this anxiety, this heightened stress. People in the diaspora, like ourselves, Dr. Adams, who have not had first-hand experience of what happened too, are also communicating with people and are sharing in these moments. And so we find that people at times are having, heightened emotions and all of that. So our bodies are well equipped, yes, to handle stress in small doses. But when that stress becomes long term or chronic, it can have serious effects on our bodies. And so we talked about this earlier about when the cortisols or the adrenaline is released, what are some of the things we are seeing? And as we talk about this, I want you to process, and look into your family, your friend group. How are you seeing people showing up when you're in conversation with them or at work with them? Because high cortisol can cause exhaustion, irritability, trouble sleeping, difficulty focusing, body ache. And for children, what we are seeing and can see when there is heightened stress or trauma is the clinginess or tantrums, nightmares, or even sometimes there is regression in skills that they've already acquired. And Dr. Adams talked about some of this last week as well. So the stress, trauma, it has significant effects on our bodies. And I'm seeing here, give me 1 second, let me see in the chat what's going on. Okay, yes. Thank you, Dr. Adams. I see now. Thank you so much for elevating and highlighting those. So the effects, as we see, there are emotional and psychological symptoms when we have the cortisol, rushing through our body at high levels. It causes issues, as we are seeing here, guilt or shame or self-blame or social withdrawal. Physical symptoms we talked about, but we're also seeing people experiencing the headaches and insomnia, muscle tension and aches, and so much more can happen to the body when it's constantly in that state of stress. So what we're going to do today is to go through some coping skills. We're going to talk about things that we can do to help the body to be relieved to take a break, to get out of the state of defense. And so we're going to talk about some grounding routines, a stress response plan, as well as self care inventory.
Dr. Gordon, before we get started with the coping skills, I just wanted to add a little plug
Of
for why
course, yes.
this is important. I know that we are still in the age where the people are starting to rally a lot more around mental health and understand the importance of that. But I know that we still have some people that were dragging along with us as to why this is important. And I just want to say, if anything, like your mental health is just as important as your physical health. And a lot of times those two things are connected. So if you're not here on this live, just please go and talk to somebody. Um, really somebody that is trained to help you process this. Now, while it's good to talk to friends and family and vent, making sure that you have an outlet, the thing is just like this is how it works, right? When you've been exposed to something, whether it's traumatic or not, your body stores that somewhere. And if you don't have an outlet to release that, it is stored in your body. And unfortunately, where trauma is concerned, we don't want that stored in our body because that can lead to long-term health complications. We're talking cancer, long-term depression, and other mental health challenges, even decreasing like your life expectancy. Because your body, there's a book that we read that I think is The Body Keeps Score. Love that book.
Yes. Yes.
And I want to say that, short plug, the doctor that is mentioned in that book is of Jamaican heritage. She started a whole facility in California. But anyways, I decided to big up our people any chance I
Of
get.
course.
But back on track, which is it's if anything else, just please, 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 please go and talk to somebody. And I think at some point in this live, we are going to talk about a document that the government has put together where they are paying, particularly for schools, but where they are paying for certain clinicians to come and work with students. So if not for you, even though I implore you for yourself, if you have children or have friends with children or other kids in your family, this is really, really important for just allowing your body to not store this type of trauma, because if it's stored in there, that can lead to other health complications, which I would not want to see for any of you.
Thank you, Dr. Adams. Yes, very much so. So we need to find an outlet. We have to find ways that we can cope, because if we have this stored up, then it's going to cause long-term effects, like Dr. Adams shared just now. So before we move on, I want us to think about if we've seen any of these changes in the family or among children in your in your community, your children. Think about it for a minute and see if you've seen anything that has changed with a family member, or if anything changed with your child or a family, a child in the family. Are you seeing anything like this? What signals um your body, or what signals your body has been sending you that you may be ignoring personally? Are you experiencing any signals that you probably are ignoring? Have you noticed any changes in your body or emotions since the hurricane? So these are things I want us to kind of think about for a while. We talked a bit about some of these. There are many. It doesn't have to look exactly like the symptoms we talk about, but maybe changing your appetite, changing how you sleep, maybe irritability, always worried about what's coming next. If you are finding that there are changes in your mood or any other things I mentioned, or things that are just happening for you that's different, you probably need to talk to someone, and that's okay. talking to someone is a very good step. And Dr. Adams shared that sometimes it may mean talking to someone with training, someone who can provide therapy to help you to heal from what's going on. Because even though we're going to talk about some coping skills today, these may not work for everyone because additional help is needed. And so you maybe, they have to talk to someone else. And there are people right now, according to the government, who are paid to provide these services for free to students, to parents, to teachers, and school staff. The Ministry of Education has developed a program where these people are provided with services at no cost to them. So make use of these services that are there, that are provided for you. If you're not sure what's going on in your body, still consult. It never hurts anyone to consult or to find out, if something that you're experiencing might be um, something that you may need some support for. So use up the system, the supports that are in place currently. That's something that would be great. So we are going to be talking about some practical coping skills. And I feel like we've been listing a lot of some of these skills in previous weeks, but we're going to practice a few of them tonight and probably just talk about, you know, others, how you can use them in your own personal space. So, Dr. Adams, did you want to go ahead and start us off with some of these practical coping skills?
Sure.
Thank you.
I started with some last week, so I'm going to start revisit those. And I will say, for those of you who were here last week when I mentioned grounding and I could not remember the last sense, it was hearing. That was the one I was missing. So since I mentioned that, some of you might be like, what is that? So grounding. So Dr. Gordon talked about trauma, right? And talked about different types of trauma, whether you've experienced it firsthand, whether you're like us, where it's secondary trauma, vicarious trauma. We weren't there, we didn't experience it firsthand. But we're still processing this, right? So one of the approaches that a lot of experts use when dealing with trauma, when we're still stabilizing, is called grounding. Essentially, you're working from the back of your brain to the front, because when you've experienced a traumatic event and you're exhibiting signs of trauma, like the ones that Dr. Gordon still has on the screen, then your thinking brain, is what we call it, the front of your brain, is not online. That means you're not really thinking like your normal self, logic, reasoning. So a lot of experts say that we should start at the back of the brain, because that is where you're in your fight, your flight, or your freeze, and where your thinking brain is not working. So to do that, to start at the back, we usually start with something called grounding. It's really great if you starting to feel yourself panic, your heart starting to race. Maybe you heard a sound, like Dr. Gordon mentioned earlier. You heard a sound. It's not the hurricane, right? Because the hurricane has passed. But you remember, or your body remembers the loud sounds that it heard in the hurricane. And that's now triggered your body to say, I am not safe. So now you're starting to panic, your heart starting to race, maybe you're starting to breathe faster. Maybe your palms are getting sweaty, your head is starting to hurt, you feel that knot in your stomach. Those are some of the signs that your body is either gearing up to fight whatever the situation is, or run away from it, or it might just freeze. So to do that, when you start feeling those cues come up, the grounding technique is 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So first, with 5 things you can see. So you're just looking around. Like for me, right now I'm in my kids' playroom. I see a water bottle, my laptop, the light, the table, a chair. This kind of starts to tell your body, wait, I am okay. I'm able to now list things that I'm seeing around. I'm not in danger. It's essentially, you're trying to disarm yourself or tell your body you are safe. 4 things you can touch. I can touch my phone, my water bottle, my laptop, the table, the couch. 3 things you can hear. I hear the static on my laptop. I hear my kids playing outside of this room. I also hear a little tapping sound somewhere in this room. For you all, it might be I hear a car driving by. I hear little a leaf rolling. It can be anything, just depending on where you are listening, even to those small sounds that you think nobody else can hear. Like again, like the static for me on this laptop. Not a big sound, but I can hear it. So now I'm diverting my brain's attention to something else. Two things like you can smell. Um, right now I smell dinner cooking and I'm really hungry. Something else I might be able to smell the mint on my breath. And one thing you can taste. But you might not be able to have something you're physically drinking right now, but you can imagine, I can taste the tea I had this morning or whatever it is. Or if you do have something around you, then taste it. So that grounding, again, you're trying to disarm your body. You're telling yourself, if I'm able to list 5 things I can see and 4 things I can touch, 3 things I can hear, 2 things I can smell, and 1 thing I can taste. If I can get my senses to be activated in that way, I am not in danger. I am safe. And you also start to get that thinking brain back online. So now instead of being in fight, flight, or freeze, I'm using the front parts of my brain to do all of that, to name the things I can see, touch, hear, smell, and taste. So that is one way to stabilize yourself. So, but you have to be paying attention to those cues, remember. So if you're feeling that heart racing, breathing, starting to just freak out, essentially, now let's start. Okay, wait, where am I? Okay, I can see this, I can see that, I can see that. So grounding is a very big one. If you can't remember that because you're like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, oh, that's a whole bag of things I have to remember. One of the simplest but very effective, people that don't give it enough credit, is breathing. Breathing. There are different methods and breathing. There's box breathing where you just inhale for 4. You have to be counting in your brain because it's hard to breathe and count out loud. Inhaling, holding it, starting to exhale, and letting it out. So that's just breathing. Or even simpler, just breathe in for like 20 seconds. Imagine that you're smelling something sweet and blowing out like you're blowing out a candle. So breathing in something sweet, out like you're blowing out a candle. In sweet, out like a candle. Breathing in sweet, out like a candle. So again, grounding, you're starting to disarm yourself. I am safe. I am safe. You're starting to get that thinking brain back online, because remember, when you're exposed to something traumatic, this parts of your brain, the thinking brain, goes offline. The grounding helps to bring it back online so then you can think and reason. If that's too much to remember with activating the senses, then breathing. You can do the box breathe. Like I said, you breathe in, you hold it, start to exhale slowly and letting it out. Or more simply, just breathing in like you smell something sweet, and out like you're blowing a candle. Those are my favorite ones, grounding and breathing. Some of the other ones I talked about last week were more about like affirmations, and I kind of all just naturally said them while we're talking about the grounding, like I am safe. That's a big one right now for all of us, because what many of you all experienced, if you have firsthand experience with that hurricane, I'm thinking back to my experience with a Hurricane Ivan, but currently with your experience there, again, things that will make you jumpy, sounds that will frighten you. So what do you say when that trigger has cued those bodily behaviors to start saying, okay, it's that sound again. We need to get ready. We need to get ready to fight this thing. I am safe. I am here. I am okay. I can relax. Start talking to yourself, talking to your brain, and letting yourself know I am resilient. I am okay. My kids are okay. I am safe. Whatever works for you, say in a nice, calm tone so that your brain can hear that tone and note, I am not in any active danger. So those are the three that I would say that you should add to your toolkit that are more easy to remember: the grounding, 5 4 3 2 1, the breathing, and then the affirmations. Dr. Gordon, do you have any you'd like to add?
Yes, Dr. Adams. Yeah, those are great tools, that we can use in times when we find that we are kind of getting we're overwhelmed, or we feel out of control. These tools help with self-regulation, and it takes us back right where we need to be. So that's awesome. So yes, grounding is good, breathing is good, and those positive self-talk that Dr. Adams mentioned, it takes us back right to that place where we're now taking control. You are in control of you. My favorite is just telling myself, talking to myself, reassuring me that I am safe, I am okay, I'm in control. That's my favorite one. Always just affirming, reassuring self what's going on in that moment, safety, you're okay. And grounding, like Dr. Adams mentioned, is the trauma responsive practice that helps to bring the mind, the body back into the present moment. All of them, it kind of just helps us to stay grounded in the present, especially when there is stress, there's fear, or there's overwhelming emotions. It helps to just pull us into the present. So I like those. And I like them too because it reduces the emotional overload or overwhelm feeling from the emotions. It calms the nervous system that we talked about earlier, that is just releasing cortisol in the body. Those are tools that we can use to help take us back to our body into some state of regulation, normalcy. It also helps to stop trauma flashbacks and body memories. So that's very helpful. Thank you for sharing those, Dr. Adams. One of my go-to, I love this one, and this is something that I've always been using when I go for a walk or in my room. I use guided imagery a lot, and guided imagery is where we're creating an inner peace and safety within our own selves. Guided imagery is also another powerful trauma response tool that pretty much allows the mind and the body to reconnect with a sense of safety. So even when the world around us, everything is going on and we feel overwhelmed, and our brain cannot fully distinguish between something vividly, you know. Um, so this guided imagery, it helps to create calm. It grounds us with grounding images, and it helps with calming the nervous system, shifting from survival mode into regulation. So imagery helps those who use it to reduce the psychological stress. It slows the heart rate, it eases breathing and softens muscle tension. It interrupts trauma loops. So trauma often replays in the mind like a stock video. Imagery pretty much offers a counter video, one centered with safety and control. So it rebuilds that internal safety. So after crises like the hurricane, people often feel unsafe even when danger has passed. Imagery gives the body a chance to experience safety again. So what it does, it strengthens coping pathways. So each time a person practices calming imagery, the brain strengthens the pathway, making it easy or even easier to find calm in real-time moments of distress. So you can frame it by saying something like, trauma doesn't only live in memory, it lives in the it pretty much lives in the nervous system, and imagery pretty much helps us to send new messages to the body. So it's kind of changing it's rewiring what's there. So you are safe, you can breathe, and you can return home to yourself. So that's pretty much what the guiding imagery does. So how we do it. So what we do first is that we settle. And by settling, it can be in a place that you find comfort. This can be in your living room. It can be in your bedroom, wherever you feel comfortable. And you sit comfortably. And then you let your shoulders drop. And then you take slow, you slow breath in and out. And the next step in imagery is that you invite images or imagery. So, in doing so, what you're going to do is to close your eyes, or you're going to soften your gaze, whichever you prefer. Some people prefer just softening their gaze by looking down, or or some people choose to close their eyes. And then from there, what you're going to do is to imagine a place where your body feels completely at ease. So it might be a real place. For others, it can be, something that you find to be comforting. Take yourself there. For some people, this is their childhood home or yard. For some people, it's the beach. For me, it can be the beach in Trelawney. For some people, it's their grandmother's veranda. For some people, it's under a coconut tree or whatever tree it is. For some people, it might be just in the park. And so, wherever it is, you're going to imagine a place where your body feels completely at ease. And then from there, you're going to then use that imagery to engage the senses. So that would be the next step, engaging the senses. And so here is where you're going to start noticing. So you notice the colors, whatever the imagery is in your mind now, whatever you're seeing, whatever that is giving you that complete sense of ease, you're now going to start noticing the colors, the light. What sound do you hear? Is it a breeze? You're now going to start, get into the feeling piece. What is under your feet? Is it the sand? Is it grass? Is it tile? Is it earth? Your senses are being activated. And so you let your body respond as if you are truly there. So that's what you're doing in that moment. Taking your mind to a place of ease, somewhere that you find comfort. And then step 4 is where you anchor safely. So in this place that you are, nothing and no one needs anything from you. That's the beauty about this. Here you are safe. Here your breathing is moving easily. Here you inhale, bring in peace, and you exhale, releasing strain. And then the very last step or stage in imagery, in guided imagery, is when you are ready. This is the return. And so you usually, whenever you're ready, however long you want to take in imagery, whenever you are ready, you gently bring awareness back to the room. And so this time you wriggle your toes or your fingers, and know that this place you imagine is always available to you. So that's something that is essential. Whatever the imagery is, that place that you find comfort, you find ease, is knowing that this place is always available to you and you can return to the space at any time that you need. So that's grounding. And that's a technique that is very useful. It's a very helpful. Another one is progressive muscle relaxation. And this is where you kind of tense the muscles and then you release and ease. And you do that progressively throughout the body. And that helps to help you to be in control of your body and of your mind. And it helps the body lessen the production of the cortisol that we talked about earlier and puts you back into control of what's going on. So we talked a whole lot about, different activities, different tools that we can use for grounding routine. Another thing that we want to talk about is stress response plan. And Dr. Adams, what do you think about the stress response plan? You want to share a little bit of your thoughts on this?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think it is crucial for all of us to have one. When we're in school, we do fire drills, we do because when you practice something, there's an old saying that practice makes perfect, and we replaced that now, practice makes permanent. Because once you keep practicing something, once you have a plan for something, then when the time comes for that thing to happen, then your body automatically knows what to do. So I really love this idea of a stress response plan. It's going to be individual and unique to you, because there are a broad range of symptoms that we've both spoken about while we've been on this live and the previous sessions. Again, like with the heart racing and your chest is tightening, your palms are sweaty, but that doesn't happen to everybody. Like my palms, they don't sweat when I get stressed out. When I get stressed out, I feel that pit in my stomach always drops. And what else for me specifically? I would say that maybe sometimes I have the urge to just kind of go blank or try to withdraw. Like when everything happened with the hurricane, I've been also dealing with my own personal traumas and deaths in my family. And I just really didn't feel like talking to anybody. I didn't want to do anything. So for me, withdrawing and that pit in my stomach, those are my warning signs. So that will be the first part of the plan. You have to know what your body's cues are. What always happens when I get stressed out? And beyond that, if I've been exposed to something traumatic, how does my body naturally respond? Do you get headaches? Do you lose your appetite? When you're in the moment and that trigger happens, are you shaking? Are you just seeing red? Are you blacking out? What is happening? So if you haven't been paying attention to your body, the first part of that plan is definitely, how do I respond when I am stressed out? How do I respond when I've been exposed to something traumatic? Because when you know how you respond or how your body responds, then I can think of, okay, what are some things I can do? Because for me, again, pit in my stomach, okay, I feel that pit. What can I do now? That's my cue to use one of those skills, one of the ones that we've talked about, whether it's grounding, whether it's breathing, whether it's guided imagery, whether it's the affirmations, whether it's a progressive muscle relaxation, and that's just squeezing and releasing muscles from head to toe. Squeeze your eye, let it go, hold it. So I'm going down, right? So which of those three I like? Because I might not like all of that. Grounding, maybe it's too many and I can't remember that. That's not, when I'm stressed out, I'm not thinking about 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, even though I highly recommend it. Maybe my go-to is breathing. Okay, so I've been exposed to something stressful. All right, I feel the pit in my stomach. That's my cue to know I'm not feeling good about this thing. Okay, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna breathe. Breathe in something sweet, blow out the candle. That's what I'm gonna do. So first, I have my body cues, my warning signs. 2, I have my strategies. Pick 1 or 2 that you know that you like. And maybe, I mean, some other quick ones. Maybe you just need to step outside. Maybe you just need some fresh air. Maybe you just need to go for a walk and clear your head. A lot of times, a big one, because I don't know if you're picking up the common themes around sensory and breathing, no matter which strategy you use. But touch is a really big one. That's one of the quickest ways to restabilize us because of how our body is wired. And like extreme temperature. So no, I'm not saying go burn off your hand. I'm thinking more like it's an ice cube and hold something really cold or something like that. Okay. So anything that is quick, maybe if you have access to that or a cold piece of something in a freezer, anything, doing that. So it could be one of the strategies we talked about, or it could be something even simpler like going for a walk, getting some fresh air, maybe just get up and stretch. Whatever it is that you like. This is why I love the stress plan, because it's unique to you. So you first have to know your cues, then you have to pick your strategies. And then after that, support is not only, the strategies that you want to utilize. Maybe it's, who can I talk to? Who do I reach out to? Who do I ask for help? Who is in schools? Because I work in schools, we'll tell the kids like, who is your trusted adult? So I don't know who is on the live if we have a mix of kids and adults, but who is your go-to person? And when you identify that person, it is very important that you do identify that person. When you identify that person, what do you need them to do? Are you asking for solutions? Do you just need them to sit with you? If it's on the phone, do you just need them to listen? What do you need? So I think that is important. So 1, 2, 3. 1, what are your body cues? For me, it's pit in my stomach, right? I know once I get that pit, something not right. Okay. That's my cue to use one of my strategies from my toolkit, whether it's the breathing, the grounding, the progressive muscle relaxation, the guided imagery, the affirmations, I am safe, or if it's something simpler, like I just need to go for a walk and clear my head. I just need to maybe get something cold and touch it. I just need some air. Any one of those strategies are fine. Find out what works best for you. How does your body respond to stress, and which one of those strategies helps to stabilize you and bring you back to homeostasis, right? Then third, outside of what I am doing to regulate my body, who can I talk to? Identify that person. And when you identify that person, first of all, let them know that they're your person. So when you call, they know. But also when you call them or if they're with you, then let them know what you need. Again, because sometimes I'll be honest, moment of transparency, I am a fixer, and I'm a problem solver. So when people call, my default is like, I want to dive into solutions. And sometimes people don't want that. Them don't want to hear what I have to say in terms of, oh, this is how you can do this. Sometimes I just want you to be quiet and listen and give them the space to either sit in silence if that's what they need, or to speak about what's going on in their mind. Okay. Other things I just want to, those are the 3 elements. Okay. Body cues, strategies, and identifying a person. Other than that, what I just want to stress again, when you're in this, for your support plan, when you've been exposed to something traumatic or you're going through stress right now, chronic stress, we've been saying this for the past 3 sessions, try not to isolate yourself. It's just natural to feel like you need to, like I told you guys, when I'm stressed, I don't really feel like talking to nobody. But sometimes when you sit with those thoughts and you can start to spark, don't isolate yourself. Try to connect with whoever, your neighbors, family, community, however that is. Just don't hold that in. Don't pretend everything is okay. Don't blame yourself for anything. Like, those are not positive or effective behaviors to help you regulate. Okay. And we talked about earlier, Dr. Gordon talked a little bit about some of those different types of trauma and what that can do. And thinking about, again, if you are holding that inside, that can have long-term health implications. Okay. Remember, your physical health is just as important as your mental health. So let's try not to engage in the activities that will force us to keep what we're feeling inside. That is what I would say on that. I feel like I'm being Vanna, like, back to you, Dr. Gordon.
I know, powerful. Wow, Dr. Adams, yes, you covered it well. And from what you shared, I just want to, put it as the 3 R's from what you shared when we're thinking about that stress response plan. We want to ensure that we recognize the first R. So we want to recognize What does my body do when I'm overwhelmed? So that's the first step. What's happening in your body? What does your body do when you're overwhelmed? And Dr. Adams talked about, some people may be sweaty palms, for others it may not. It may be muscle tension, it may be heavy or increased heart rate, it may be sweating, so many different things. You have to know your body. And so the first step when we're thinking about that stress response plan, we want to ensure that we recognize. And then Dr. Adams talk about respond, which is the second step. So what helps me to calm down? And we talked about some of them tonight. For you, it's maybe some of them might not work, like she mentioned, some might work. So it's kind of learning what helps you to calm. It might be calling a friend and cracking a joke or two. It might be just having someone like Dr. Adams shared on the other line, and you are just venting and talking. You really don't want to hear anything, but you just want to vent. That might be something that works for you. And then for other people, it might be just going for a walk or playing outside. Two might be one, or seeing people enjoying themselves. But then we talk about some other tools too that are useful tonight. We talked about the grounding, we talked about the breathing, we talked about the progressive muscle relaxation. So respond. What helps you to calm down? It's figuring that part. And then lastly, reach out. So, who can I call or message when I'm struggling is the last part. So, who's your safety net? Who are the persons that you can call? If you have a therapist, if you have a friend, who is someone that you can reach out to if you're trying things in your toolbox and they're not working for you in the moment, who can you reach out to? So let us all think about having a a stress response plan. It doesn't matter who you are, a child, an adult, a member of parliament, a teacher, a student, a nurse, a doctor, a school staff, whoever you are at whatever stage in life, having a stress response plan is necessary. And I like how Dr. Adams put it earlier. Just as how in schools they do the fire drills and they do the earthquake drills and they do all the necessary drills to kind of just give you that safety net to prepare you should in case something is happening, or to know what to do when your body enters that flight, fight, or freeze mode. So the safety, I keep saying the safety. Well, it's safety. The stress response plan pretty much helps to build predictability. So whatever event may come, you have this plan in place and it prepares you to respond. So you don't feel like you're out of control. And so being out of control, your body is going to think that you're in danger and start releasing hormones and, all of that stuff. So that's useful information to have. So the 3 R's: recognize, response, or respond rather, and reach out. Recognize, respond, and reach out. We want to ensure we do that as it relates to our stress response. And then we want to talk about self-care inventory. And so the purpose of the self-care inventory is to pretty much identify small, realistic habits that rebuild capacity. And so this helps with restoration, rest, and emotional balance. So, some of the things when we think about self care inventory is to looking at our environment, looking at our bodies, the physical self, the emotional, the social, the environment, and kind of take notes in terms of, what are habits to rebuild capacity. So, physical, we are thinking about hydration, walking, or stretching, more tools that we can use. If you practice yoga, Pilates, whatever, or you go for a walk, physicals. You think about in when you're doing the inventory, you think about it in in categories. So the physical, what can you do to help the physical self, pretty much, and then the emotional. Is it maybe journaling or maybe talking to someone you deem as a safe person? Spiritual too is another category that we can look into. What can you do? Is it maybe praying? Is it gratitude? Is it music? Social? We can think about maybe sharing space with the community. And we talked about this last week where Mr. Martin was sharing information about how people are now outside and they're engaged more in the um, non technological activities. So playing games like the so many games. Some of them I can only, yeah, the Chinese skip. What are some other ones, Dr. Adams? The Dandy
Dandy
Shandy.
Shandy, yeah.
Right. So many other outdoor activities that, one can engage in. That's something that is also helpful when we think about the environmental. Do you have anything to add as it relates to self care inventory, Dr. Adams?
No, I think you got the big buckets. I want to add in, I mean, just understanding that it's very hard right now. I mean, I know that there are lots of people that still don't have roofs over their head. So I know we're asking you guys, or even have water to drink. I know we're asking you guys, like, hey, still take inventory of yourself. How are you sleeping? How are you eating? How are you drinking water? And again, I know those things are harder right now. I just want to acknowledge that. But to the best of your ability, just ensuring that you can do that, because when we talked a lot again for the past 3 sessions about sensory and those things, but taking care of your body goes hand in hand with all of that. So as much as you can, trying to do that. We're dealing a lot with the emotional piece right now with some of the strategies that we're trying to provide. But I think everything else, the connecting, with the social piece, and then of course spiritual. We just be in prayer if you can, if you still have your Bible physically or on your phone, if you have access to a phone, and if you don't, prayer, meditation, and all of those things. So
Indeed. So yes, we have to allow ourselves to take a break from those big emotions that can overwhelm us during this time. So yes, I know some of us, we're experiencing the grief, we're experiencing a significant loss. But if you were here earlier, you would have heard me talking about not being able to allow yourself to break from all of this. Is going to allow your body, or is going to let your body continuously thinking it's in danger and produce hormones that can be damaging to the body. Hormones that are meant to just serve a function in the short term are now going throughout the body on a long-term basis and can cause significant damage. So yes, it's a lot going on, but yes, we need to allow ourselves to take breaks and to breathe and to cope well in these tough times. And as we are preparing to close, we want to talk about some resources. um, Dr. Adams, I did put the tool that you shared. It's the QR code is what I put there. I was trying to get it for whatever reason. So, I mean, if you want to talk, you can talk about it a little bit more, but it's that QR code that says the National Psycho-Emotional Activities Guideline for 2025. You can scan it, and it has a whole lot of resources for you.
unmute, yes. All right. So just I want to say a few days ago or end of last week, the Ministry of Education, Skills and Youth or and information now, released these guidelines. It's their broader plan on how they're supporting schools and the community, dealing with traumatic events such as the hurricane that just passed. Want to go through it quickly. It's a few pages, but I think very helpful. Some of what we've talked about tonight is in there in terms of the types of trauma. So it lays the foundation and the framework for what do we mean when we say trauma and the different types of trauma that are in there. It also talks about some of the guidelines and how the communities and the region is going to mobilize, how they're connecting with other agencies and other NGOs, how they're supporting schools. And I know there's also, I don't know if this is in there, I'm looking at my phone, so don't mind me. I know they've started the Host a School initiative. I'm not sure if that's in that one, but they do talk again about some school-based activities that they're doing with the guidance counselor, with school nurses, health and family life education teachers, and they do, which this is the really great part, the access to fully funded external counseling services. At the end of that document, they provide a list of guidance counselors as well as clinicians that they are going to fully pay for to provide services to schools, and by extension the community, to process what has been going on with Hurricane Melissa. So if you have a kid, or if you know somebody with a child, or the school around the corner, if they don't know about this, again, please scan the QR code. This is the big one. I think is going to be really helpful. They have their list of collaborating partners that are in there, as well as their activities for psycho-emotional support. Sorry. They have a few schools that they've targeted as their focus schools that they're going to be going through. Some of the activities that they've mentioned: inspirational sessions, so like theme devotions that will happen. They've talked about empowerment sessions and activities that would be led by guidance counselors for at least 10 hours of targeted intervention for the week. So they've put a time, or a minimum, I should say, a time minimum for how are we actually discussing this. So I think that's really awesome. They also will be doing some targeted lessons in the schools. Some of the examples they gave, I'm sure it's not an exhaustive list, but around just having girl talk and man talk sessions, dealing with respect and nonviolence and empathy. So I'm sure they're going to continue to develop that. But I love, so if you're thinking about it like a big funnel, they have these big devotions, inspirational, that's kind of like I'd like to say, or tier one. Everyone is going to be doing that. You also have these empowerment sessions and activities, also very inclusive of everything, how we're addressing emotions. But then you start going to very specific targeted lessons that are going to be delivered by the guidance counselors, and also targeted lessons by the health and family life education teachers. And those are more, again, around coping with emotions, who is my neighbor, peace. So I love that we're going to have these bigger, broader sessions, as well as these targeted sessions as well. They're also looking into doing some restorative justice learning circles, some edutainment activities, which I love, because they're talking about lunch hour concerts, movie break, game day, using our drama teachers to use performing arts to help with managing fear and anxiety. And if you were on, I don't remember if it was the first or second session, but we talked about when you experience trauma, it's almost like the bigger the trauma, the bigger the movement. Like you want to move. Big movements are super helpful. So I'm really excited that they've incorporated that into their plan. And they also have some other wellness activities that they're doing. And of course, incorporating our classroom teachers, our frontline. Shout out, big up all the teachers that are dealing with their own trauma, whether they've firsthand experience or helping their families, and still having to help students navigate their own loss while still trying to return to a sense of normalcy and teach. Like, big up the classroom teachers anywhere you are. But lastly, with the teachers, but not least, dealing with activities, meet and greet, doing check-ins, devotion, counseling support, referring students. So I love again that they have this plan. They have the clinician list in there. They also have a list for students with disabilities, so that you can reach out to them. So if you haven't seen the document, please look in it. It's very helpful, and I think a good start to addressing and helping everyone navigate the aftermath of Hurricane Melissa.
Awesome. So yes, remember the QR codes are there with resources. And like Dr. Adams mentioned, the one from the Ministry of Education and Youth and Information, I believe that one has free resources provided to students, parents, and school staff. So if you fall under any of these categories, there are volunteers or guidance counselors volunteer themselves. Big applause to all the guidance counselors that they have availed themselves to provide this voluntary service, as well as there are psychologists and psychiatrists as well that can provide more intense service, tier 3 service, if we are to put it in a tier kind of thing, for those who need that support. And so to access these resources, reach out to the school. That's a good start. The school's guidance counselor will always have information about these supports and how you can access them. So reach out to the guidance counselor, and I'm sure they will walk you through how to access or how to get to these people. But if you can also access this information. It's provided, like I said, in the other QR code right there. Their numbers are there. The names of the providers are there, and you can access that at any time that you choose. So I'm going to go ahead and share some more here. We talked about these resources last week that are available. These are still up and running. So feel free to reach out to any of these organizations. They are providing resources and support to people in need, whether it is providing food, materials, all of that stuff. You can reach out to them and find out how you can be supported. And the list goes on. This is the QR code that's provided. So if you scan the QR code, you'll see all this information. There's a column there that describes the type of support that they are providing for you. So you can always access that part too. So that information is there. It's available for you. The Kiwanis Club also, I want to put that there. Dr. Adams, I know you are,
Bias, yes. Big up all the Kiwanis Club, especially Kiwanis Club of Constant Spring, because my mom is a member there. So
okay, perfect. So they are also providing support and services. Feel free to reach out to them to provide some support, some services. And the government, of course, I know they're still doing their assessment to find out, how to support people more. Reach out to the government as well, the Ministry of Health and Wellness, the Jamaica Red Cross, the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information. Yes, reach out to the Food for Poor. That some of these are listed. Reach out to all these people. They have some support system in place you can access. So we've come to the end of our session tonight. As we close the session, I want to remind everyone of the truth, this truth that healing is not a straight line, or getting over what has happened is not linear. Some days you're going to stand strong. There are other days that you're going to have some form of struggle, but both are part of the journey. And so what matters most is that we keep showing up for ourselves and our families and our communities so that we can survive the storm. And so now together we are, learning how to rebuild our minds and our hearts and our lives. So let us leave this space today grounded some of the tools Dr. Adams and I share. Let us leave this space grounded, supported, and reminded that hope is not something we wait for. Hope is something we build. One breath, one choice, one act of care at a time. So thanks again for being here. Thank you for choosing community, not isolation. And thank you for choosing healing. We will meet again next week. So for now, please walk good, stay safe, and stay connected until we meet.
Oh God, me island cry, but we still rise, still rise. Jamaica strong. Melissa care no friend found. She tear down the place, mash up we wall, but still we there, still we stand tall. Cause love never dead, it conquer all. Mama I pray, the picnic them hold tight. Darkness come, but we find the light. From the countryside to Kingston, we sing it loud. Jamaica strong, Jamaica strong. We rise again from the flood, from the pain.